Welcome to the Explainer. Today, we're going to peel back the layers on the AI industry, and we're going to tell a story you probably haven't heard. Because, beyond all the dazzling demos and the big promises, there's a whole other narrative taking shape, one about power, control, and some pretty serious hidden costs.
Okay, let's just jump right in with a quote that'll stop you in your tracks. Now, this isn't some critic on the outside. This is Dario Amodei, one of the most powerful people inside the AI world. He's saying there's up to a 1 in 4 chance this whole thing goes catastrophically wrong for all of us. And that just begs the question, right? If the people building this stuff think it's that risky, why are they in such a frantic race to get it done?
And this leads us to the central paradox of the whole industry. The leaders, they constantly pitch these two, mythical extremes. On one hand, they say AI will solve literally everything. Cure cancer, fix the climate, you name it. A total utopia. But on the other hand, it could mean lights out for everyone. There's almost no discussion of a middle ground. It's either salvation or total annihilation.
But you have to understand, this heaven or hell narrative, it's not an accident. It's a strategy. By framing the debate this way, they're essentially saying that only they, the creators, are wise enough to navigate this dangerous path. It's a genius way to justify their control and argue that this technology is just too important and, frankly, too dangerous for anyone else to manage.
So if we want to really get what's going on, we need a new way to think about it all, a new framework that cuts through the PR. And that brings us to this idea of looking at the industry in a whole new light. Let's talk about the empires of AI thesis. The argument here is that these giant tech companies, they're acting less like normal businesses and a lot more like the empires of old. At their core, their model isn't about a fair exchange. It's about extracting resources and exploiting labor on a massive scale. And the parallels are actually kind of wild when you lay them out. First, they seize resources. That's our data, creative work from artists, plus huge chunks of land for their data centers. Second, they exploit labor globally. Third, they try to monopolize knowledge by controlling who does the research and shutting down critics. And last but not least, they spin this really powerful story that they're the good guys, the good empire, here to save the world.
Okay, so let's make this real. Let's look at a case study that brings this whole theory to life. The whole saga of OpenAI, which is probably the most famous and definitely the most controversial AI company on the planet.
OpenAI's backstory is just packed with drama and contradictions. It started as a nonprofit, right? Supposedly for all of humanity. But then, after a bunch of power struggles and a pivot to a for-profit model, it became this lightning rod for controversy. All of it building up to that insane week where the board fired the CEO, Sam Altman, only to bring him back days later.
And right in the middle of all of it is Sam Altman, this figure who people either love or, the opposite. To his supporters, he's a true visionary, maybe the only person who can pull together the money and the talent to make AGI happen. But for the people who've clashed with him, including a lot of former colleagues who worked right alongside him, the picture is completely different. They've used some incredibly harsh words, accusing him of being manipulative and dishonest, all to push his own agenda.
And look, this wasn't just office gossip. This deep division had massive consequences. We're talking about an exodus of some of the brightest minds in the field. Key people like the chief scientist Ilya Sutskever and the exec Dario Amodei, they actually left because they felt they couldn't trust the company anymore. And what did they do? They went and started their own major competitors.
Okay, but the fallout from these AI empires goes way beyond the boardroom drama. This race to build bigger and bigger AI models, it comes with a really steep price, one that affects millions of people and the planet itself.
One of the biggest and kind of cruelest impacts is what's being called the broken career ladder. Just picture this feedback loop. A professional, say a marketer, gets laid off. Then they have to take on gig work as a data annotator, where their job is to literally teach the AI how to do the very job they just lost, which, of course, just helps the AI get better and leads to even more layoffs.
And this is creating this whole new global class of digital gig workers. It's a world away from the glamorous side of tech. We're talking low pay, super high pressure, and really grueling conditions. There's no career path, and you have to live with the knowledge that your hard work is being used to get rid of more stable jobs. Some workers have even called it extremely inhumane. And then there's the environmental cost, which is just wow. To run these huge models, these companies are building data centers on a scale we've never seen before. Get this, just one planned OpenAI facility is expected to use a staggering amount of power, more than a fifth of the electricity used by the entire city of New York.
And this isn't just some abstract number. These facilities often land in or near vulnerable communities.
They put a huge strain on the local power grid, they compete for scarce fresh water to keep the servers cool, and sometimes they're even powered by new fossil fuel plants that pollute the air for the people living nearby.
So after hearing all that, it's easy to think this is all just inevitable. But here's the most important part. It's not. This empire model for building AI, it's not the only way. In fact, there's a growing movement pushing back, with a really clear vision for doing things differently.
You can think of it as a choice between the rockets of AI and the bicycles of AI. The rockets are these massive energy-sucking models we hear about every day, but the bicycles, those are smaller, super-efficient models designed to solve specific, really important problems, like AlphaFold, which helps predict protein structures to speed up drug discovery. They provide huge benefits with just a fraction of the cost to society and the environment.
And it looks like the public is really starting to wake up to this choice. A whopping 80% of Americans now believe the AI industry needs regulation. I mean, getting 80% of people to agree on anything these days is pretty rare, and it shows there's been a major shift away from just blindly trusting these companies.
And this isn't just talk, it's turning into real action. We're seeing artists and writers suing over their work being stolen. We're seeing local communities protesting against these giant data centers. We're seeing whistleblowers coming forward to expose what's happening on the inside. The empire's being challenged on all fronts.
So, the future of AI isn't set in stone. Not at all. It's being fought over and decided right now. And that's not just a technical debate. It's a social and a political one. Which really leaves all of us with a huge question to think about. As these empires start to face real resistance, what kind of future do we want to build with this incredibly powerful technology?